After Luke's death, I became a widowed omega living alone. It was from that day onward I discovered I could hear everyone's innermost thoughts. Victor, the cold and reserved heir of the Vance family, considerately draped his coat over my shoulders while telling me to take care of myself. His mind growled, that waist looks slender enough to encircle with one hand. I want to pin this tempting widow against my brother's coffin lid right now. Jason, Luke's closest friend since childhood, handed me a glass of warm water. His thoughts dripped with honeyed madness. He smells unbearably sweet. I want to lick him raw until tears streak that face, overwriting every mating mark. Yet every midnight, a voice darker than abyssal ice would scorch my ear with possessive fury. Can't you smell yourself marinating in every stray alpha's pheromones? Baby? Do you really think death stops me from fucking you senseless? My alpha husband died in a car crash. As his legal spouse, I naturally became his unsettled legacy, a freshly married omega forced into widowhood. Standing before Luke's memorial tablet in the ancestral hall, I held a black umbrella while stifled sobs swirled around me. Whispers carried on the wind, not even 2 weeks since the alpha died. Pity such a young omega widowed, the Vance's waters run deep. Who knows how Luke really died? Victor's indifference says that all of this omega will get nothing before being kicked out. A sudden chill made me cough. Without warning, Victor's charcoal cashmere coat settled on my shoulders. I looked up at the Vance family's true patriarch through trembling lashes. Towering over me in his impeccably tailored suit, his frostbitten gaze reflected my pallid face. "Don't catch cold," he said with detached courtesy, the perfect portrait of bereaved dignity. Yet his mind snarled, shaking from mere pheromones? "Imagine how beautifully you'd weep when I really ruin you." I recoiled from his scent, similar to Luke's yet icier, crueler, ruthlessly igniting my basest instincts. As I struggled to control my breathing, Victor's mask never slipped. He wouldn't want this. He lied smoothly, even as his thoughts promised depravity. That fragile neck begs to be bitten raw while I reclaim what's mine. A chilling sensation shot down my spine. I knew this wasn't my imagination playing tricks. The voice I'd heard was unmistakably Victor's innermost desire, his twisted craving for his deceased brother's widow. I barely registered fleeing the room, my escape driven by primal instinct to avoid being consumed by Victor's possessive growls vibrating through my bones. Jason waited outside the funeral parlor, his posture stiffening when he saw me. "Sean," he greeted, the absence of sister-in-law stinging more than it should. The thermos in his hand steamed as he pressed it to my lips. "You look pale. Drink." The moment I sipped the warm water, Jason's thoughts exploded in my skull, vile, hungry fantasies about erasing my mating mark that made me spill the drink. My hands trembled. If Victor's voice had been questionable, Jason's deranged mental imagery confirmed it. I could hear people's darkest thoughts. "Sean?" Jason's concern felt like acid on my skin as my legs buckled. My inhibitor collar suddenly burned against my throat. Victor's lingering alpha pheromones, so similar to Luke's, had triggered a pseudo-heat. Jason's nostrils flared in realization. "He's going into heat." The mental sneer followed. Wonder if Luke knew his precious omega would get drenched at his own funeral. If that bastard's scent wasn't so potent. Darkness crept at the edges of my vision. Jason caught my shoulders, his voice deceptively gentle. "Let me take you home." Night had fallen when we reached the Vance estate. "You can leave now," I rasped, gripping the car door. Jason's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Luke's gone. I've rented the house across. Someone should watch over you." Moonlight exposed the hunger in his gaze as I slammed the door, his low chuckle chasing me inside. Leaning against the closed door, I didn't notice the new scent layered over Luke's fading mark until Jason's satisfied purr echoed through the walls. "Patience," his thoughts crooned. "I'll kill every mutt trying to claim what's mine." Our marriage had been transactional. Luke and I shared nothing beyond business contracts and cold sheets. Yet now, surrounded by vultures smelling vulnerability, I realized how thoroughly his death had trapped me. But Luke's alpha pheromone level was extremely high. During those 7 days of permanent bonding, I could barely move from his lap, drowning in his scent. Luke had long separated from the Vance family main household. After his death, the empty rooms held only me. I tightened the nesting clothes around myself, seeking comfort through instinct. Time blurred until consciousness dissolved into darkness. Eyes shut tight, I dreamed of encountering Luke, my deceased husband. Shaking my head to dispel the nightmare, a voice colder than glacial depths pierced through, saturated with possessive fury that scorched my ears even in sleep. Baby. My brows furrowed as I bit my lip restlessly. The familiar mocking tone grew tangible, as though someone clawed back from hell itself. My corpse hasn't even cooled, and you're already sneaking around? My heart stuttered. I didn't. Can't smell it. Or playing dumb. The dream phantom's dominant palm gripped my waist, evaluating me like tainted property through icy scrutiny. Your scent glands practically marinated in every stray alpha's pheromones. Did you think death would stop me from fucking you senseless? Tremors racked my sleeping form, distressed whimpers escaping as I curled tighter into the wardrobe's confines. The door creaked open, towering in dimness. Victor's gaze immediately found the Omega clutching Luke's old clothes in the corner. Pitifully terrified in dreams yet instinctively craving his pheromones. High-tier alpha scent permeated the air, easing the Omega's tension until he unconsciously nuzzled toward its source. Good girl. The murmured praise barely registered. Victor bit his thumb, smearing blood across parted lips, fresh DNA mingling with renewed pheromones to warn off interlopers. Death was a temporary setback. No one touched what was his. I jolted awake, pulse racing. The bed's suffocating softness contradicted my clear memory of falling asleep in the wardrobe. Cold sweat soaked through my shirt. Metallic tang lingered on my tongue. Moonlight glinted on my phone screen displaying Victor's 3:20 a.m. message, "Come to the office at dawn." Luke left belongings here. Dawn found me reheating meal prep breakfast when Jason's garishly painted sports car pulled up outside. Sean. Where are you going? Let me give you a ride. The young alpha asked with burning ambition in his eyes. Though his true thoughts betrayed his calm demeanor, it's only been a few days. Yet he looks so worn out. Sean's even more alluring now. Luke really knew how to train his Omega, marinating every inch of him before dying. My fingers twitched unconsciously as I avoided his intense gaze. This gated community offered no taxis, and though the garage housed multiple luxury vehicles, they all belonged to the Vance family. I couldn't drive anyway. When reaching for my phone to call the chauffeur, I remembered all household staff answered to Victor now. Reluctantly, I slid into the back seat. To Vance Tower. Please. I murmured. The corporate skyscraper pierced downtown skyline. A waiting secretary recognized me immediately, escorting me via private elevator to the penthouse. Victor didn't look up when I entered his office, long fingers still flipping through documents. Sit, he commanded calmly. My eyes locked onto the magnesium alloy camera gleaming on his desk. Luke left this here. Take it if you want. Victor's baritone held clinical detachment. The professional-grade equipment shone immaculately, though I never knew Luke had photography interests. As I approached, Victor's dark thoughts vibrated through the air. What a waste of perfect legs. They'd look better broken and draped over my shoulders. Behave yourself, little widow. His voice turned arctic. Executive authority thickening the air. My blood turned to ice. Fingers clutching the camera reflexively. Victor reached toward my lips, only to recoil as if burned. His gaze turned predatory while his mind whispered, "This blood. I underestimated you. Proper widows stay silent like their graves." Before I could process his meaning, I bolted toward the exit, straight into Jason's chest. The childhood friend instantly assessed the situation, pulling me close with practiced ease. Victor moves fast for a corporate titan, Jason thought, fingers grazing my lower back. You kept me waiting, Sean. His sudden pheromone surge weakened my knees. Jason steadied me, murmuring faux concern. "Let's get you out of here." To my surprise, Victor allowed our departure. In Jason's car, I traced the camera's cold edges. Victor's parting words echoing, "Dead husbands should stay dead." The metallic surface reflected my trembling hands as downtown lights blurred past. After hesitating for a moment, I finally opened the camera. To my surprise, the first image stored was a photo of myself. It must have been taken by Luke without my knowledge. In the picture, I lay nestled in pillows with dewy sweat glistening along my collarbone. The pale curve of my throat prominently displayed fresh bite marks from an alpha. Thin floral bedding pooled around my waist, accentuating what could only be described as golden hour proportions. The angle captured my trembling lashes and parted lips with devastating vulnerability, every detail screaming for affection. A sudden chill ran through me. Had Victor seen these compromising photos too? But I quickly dismissed the thought. Someone of Victor's stature, however unscrupulous, would never stoop to such voyeuristic tactics. Scrolling through more images felt like time traveling, me reading silently under trees. Caught mid-yawn during afternoon lulls. Even hazy footage from my heat cycle where Luke coaxed me to whisper husband. The slideshow froze when I recalled receiving the Vance family's marriage proposal. As the second most promising alpha of their generation after Victor, Luke and I moved in entirely different circles. Our only interaction had been months earlier, a fleeting glance across crowded streets separating Omega finishing school from Alpha Military Academy. After the engagement announcement, I visited his dorm. Omegas rarely appeared at the academy, and every passing Alpha's lingering stare made my legs lock with tension. When the door opened, a shirtless cadet towered before me, sweat dripping down defined abs. "Excuse me," I averted my eyes. The door slammed in my face. Inside, muffled excitement erupted. "Holy shit. That voice. Was that an Omega? Move over. This one's mine." When the door reopened, a fully uniformed alpha stood there, combat gear straining against his physique. "Looking for Luke?" His puppy dog eyes dimmed. "He's been sneaking off to your school for months, chasing some Omega." Leaning closer, he grinned. "Why settle for that ice prince? How about me?" His words blurred. The realization crashed over me. The alpha I'd secretly admired for months already had someone. Our wedding night found me listless. "Luke, since this is just political, if you have someone else, we can separate." The towering alpha tilted his head, drool practically pooling as his gaze raked over my exposed neck. "Enough chatter, baby." His growl vibrated against my skin as he pinned me against the vanity, ruthlessly claiming my lips before the mirror. I woke in a private clinic, antiseptic burning my nostrils. When I tried rising, Jason stopped me. "Mr. Quinn, you passed out in the car. We've completed the full medical evaluation. Please remain resting for now." Passed out. No wonder my head throbbed so violently. The physician entered briskly, holding lab reports. "This is pheromone deficiency-induced dysregulation originating from your alpha bond." My fingers tightened imperceptibly around the diagnosis. "But my alpha died less than 7 days ago." The doctor adjusted his glasses, tucking his pen into the breast pocket. "Mr. Quinn, with all due respect, your deceased husband was an exceptionally high-tiered alpha, correct?" The Vance dynasty had pioneered military reforms for the coalition. Even after withdrawing from frontline politics, their influence remained inextricably woven into defense operations. All Vance Alpha's classifications stayed classified due to national security protocols. Yet as the bloodline successor, Luke's rank couldn't have been mediocre. I nodded confirmation. "Precisely. Typically, Omegas permanently bonded to elite alphas develop intensified hormonal dependencies. Short of resurrection, replacement options are limited." The physician's tone turned clinical. Standard protocol recommends complete bond purification. Purification? The sterile terminology swirled through my consciousness. My knuckles whitened against the sheets. Is there another way? Surprise flickered behind his lenses. Theoretically, yes, if you obtain matching pheromone analogs and specialized suppressants. However, his pause lingered meaningfully. Over 90% of suppressants effective against apex-tier pheromones remain military regulated. Long after his departure, I stared blankly at the wall. This irrational reluctance, purification meant severing the last tether to Luke. Yet even pursuing that required temporary stabilization. Jason steadied me as I swayed. Sean, tonight's capital auction features a high-grade inhibitor as the finale. If you need, I'll attend. His smile softened. Of course. Simultaneously, his mental snarl pierced my consciousness. *****ing hell. Even his bones are dust now. What a damn lucky bastard. I froze. That was impressively vitriolic. The auction hall brimmed with glittering elites. My target inhibitor ignited frenzied bidding. After several futile attempts, Jason shook his head helplessly as prices skyrocketed beyond reach. Then the silent VIP tier finally stirred. A single bid from the shadowed balcony shattered all competition. I recognized that silhouette instantly. Victor. Lounging like a panther surveying his domain. Our gazes collided midair. His smirk materialized as he summoned an attendant with a finger curl. Minutes later, the inhibitor materialized before me with an embossed card, compliments of bidder number 1 for Mr. Quinn. I intercepted his departure as his secretary held the limo door. Victor. The heir halted without turning. Tailored coat catching halogen streaks. The city's heartbeat pulsed between us 8 paces and a chasm of unsaid history. In the dim light, Victor Vance's black trench coat accentuated broad shoulders that radiated unapproachable authority and control. Like a hunter with impeccable patience who'd long deciphered his prey's patterns. He'd finally waited for the rabbit to stumble into his meticulously laid trap. I knew this, yet had no alternatives. Lowering my gaze, I murmured, I was wondering if I could borrow one of your coats? Victor paused, as if deep in thought. Then an almost imperceptible smile curved his lips. Of course. Without further questions, he began unbuttoning the trench coat, the shirt beneath outlining his athletic frame. He folded the still warm garment neatly before handing it over. At this proximity, Victor's alpha pheromones enveloped me unmistakably. His consideration bordered on clairvoyance. Will this suffice? I can have my secretary deliver more tonight if needed. Clutching the coat to my chest, I mumbled, "This is enough." As I turned to leave, his mental commentary followed even when making requests. This little widow Omega. What an irresistible tease. That night after showering, I injected high-grade suppressants into my thigh, burying myself in Victor's coat. The familiar pheromones temporarily alleviated 7 days' worth of alpha deprivation. Instinctively, I rolled the fabric tighter against my body, pushing upward from my abdomen as shameful whimpers escaped through clenched teeth. Candle flames suddenly flickered. A spectral alpha materialized, glacial eyes fixed on the Omega writhing in bed. With casual brutality, he destroyed the hidden camera in the corner, proof that I hadn't even noticed being surveilled while daring to betray him so blatantly. Nightwind carried his growl-like hellfire-given voice. Sometimes I truly want to strangle you. The words dissolved into darkness, unheard by the sleeping figure now arching needily into empty air. Luke, come inside me. The apparition's gaze darkened instantaneously. My momentary relief vanished when the coat was ripped away, though in my drowsy state I only thought the wind had displaced it. Oblivious, I curled deeper into sleep, a pliant confection laid bare before hungry eyes. Icy breath ghosted over my neck. The derisive chuckle slithered like serpent's tongue along my ear, triggering instinctive shivers. Another alpha's scent gets you this worked up? An NGH, I futilely tried nestling into non-existent warmth. The alpha permitted no quarter. One finger. Then another. My abdomen quivered violently beneath the moon's cold stare as he claimed absolute dominion through calculated violation. When the climax left me dazed and trembling, I gasped out, "Who are you?" The looming figure continued his merciless ministrations on my arched body. "What do you think, sweetheart?" That devastating familiarity flooded my veins, the same helpless euphoria from our 7-day honeymoon when walking seemed impossible. I furrowed my brows, struggling against what felt like nightmare. "You're already dead. Why did you come back? You goddamn heartbreaker. Why did you, even after death?" The figure in my dream bit my earlobe with reckless abandon. His hellish breath chilling my neck. Crawled back from hell to fuck you senseless. Baby. The bone-deep coldness clung like a parasite, jolting me into cold sweat as I arched helplessly, forced to swallow the icy intrusion of a tongue that shouldn't exist. Soul surrendered. Passion unrequited. This was madness. Morning found me staring blankly at the darkened stains spreading across the sheets. I'd only meant to relieve some tension. Yet somehow pheromones had triggered my heat. Victor Vance's shirt lay crumpled on the floor, soaked through with suspicious moisture. Memories of that blurred entanglement flooded back. My fingers twitched beneath the blanket as if scalded, curling in shame. To think I'd grown so desperate for an alpha's touch that I'd let my deceased mate ravish me in sleep. I shook my head, seeking clarity. Maybe the doctor was right. I needed that mark removal surgery immediately. The procedure was scheduled a week later. Jason Carter accompanied me throughout. Unusually sincere this time, no snarky mental commentary. Just genuine support. Yet I remained distracted. The doctor murmured reassurances as we entered the injection room. Then reality warped. Time froze as the alpha who should have died in that car crash materialized before us. My pulse stuttered. Those recent nightmares, they'd been real. Not hormonal imbalance. Every fevered dream had left physical traces. Luke Vance's gaze locked onto the surgical scalpel. Seems I arrived just in time? His serpent-cold fingers coiled around my nape, not a palm, but 2 frigid digits forcing my gland into exposure. My knees buckled with primal submission. The omega in me trembling violently beneath his grip. Baby. His breath slithered past my ear as thumb pressed into my scent gland like a vengeful wraith. Trying to erase my mark. The chill seeped into marrow. Without your alpha's protection, you'd let those rabid mutts tear you apart. Devour you whole? I couldn't explain. Couldn't move. His glacial stare stripped me bare. A specimen awaiting destruction. Pity. My soul's immortal. His deadened eyes promised carnage. I'll slaughter every cur that touches you. The fingers tightened. Alive or buried centuries from now, no scavenger will ever taste what's mine. Smack. I raised my hand and delivered a sharp, ringing slap. Luke's head snapped sideways from the impact, his grip loosening in stunned disbelief. "You hit me?" he rasped, eyes widening. Tears welled in my eyes as I glared at the man who'd haunted my nightmares. "How was I supposed to know you weren't dead? I thought you were fucking gone. I nearly lost my mind, and you had the nerve to scare me." My voice cracked. "Why don't you crawl back to hell, Luke?" Luke snorted coldly. "Didn't I tell Victor to handle everything if something happened? Unless," his pupils suddenly constricted. "That backstabbing snake. My own brother set me up." I flung the surgical drape aside, vision blurring crimson. "I'm the one seeing ghosts here. Get out!" "Like hell!" Luke barked, the drape clinging absurdly to his shoulder. He shoved his unscathed cheek forward. "Leaving this side lonely? Not your type." The alpha ultimately received twin palm imprints. When Victor finally appeared, he lounged across from us like royalty holding court. "Guilty as charged," he drawled, locking eyes with his brother. "Since when do Vance back down from claiming what's theirs?" Luke's jaw worked. So the clinic ambush was Jason's doing? Some brothers for life bullshit. Naive little brother. Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. That was my man too. We groaned in unison. Your accountability's almost admirable. Old man. Later. Luke's fingers intertwined with mine as streetlights streaked past the car window. Our family curse. Every Vance comes of age losing one thing to gain another. His thumb brushed my knuckles. My trial didn't go as planned. I side-eyed his translucent fingers. So you can still. His smirk returned full force as he guided my hand lower. Dead. Not impotent. Unless you forgot last night's dream. I meant your alpha pheromones. I snapped. Cheeks burning. The spectral idiot thumped his chest. Fully functional. Yet later under the shower spray. Phantom eyes seemed to track every droplet sliding down my spine. Luke? I whispered. Shutting off the water. Only silence answered until the bathroom lock clicked. A drop of dark red blood fell abruptly from midair, splattering into the small puddle before me. It was Luke's nosebleed, typical alpha behavior when their inner fire rages out of control. My shoulders relaxed under the shower spray, tension melting into lazy indifference. Water droplets clung to my lowered lashes as I scoffed. Pathetic show-off. Adjusting the shower head, I let warm rivulets cascade down my chest. Slowly, deliberately, I trailed 2 fingers down my glistening abdomen in blatant provocation. Breath hitching, I murmured, "Aw, Luke." Ice-cold hands seized my waist before I finished speaking. Baby, were you calling me? That primal alpha need for omega submission never changes. No dominant could ignore such open defiance. You've been watching me shower again, I accused hoarsely. In sudden motion, I twisted to grab the perverted alpha's wrist, flinging him out the bathroom door. No entering without permission during my baths. Luke's indignant "hey" echoed through the wood. Only after drying off did I permit. Come in. The towering alpha scrambled obediently. I eyed him skeptically. This Vance family curse, it's not some fabricated tale. Is it? Sweetheart. Luke closed the distance, hands settling possessively on my hips. His wounded sincerity almost convinced. Would I ever deceive you? My frown lingered. But Victor seems perfectly normal. At least superficially. The Vance patriarch showed no signs of supernatural compensation. He lost rationality. Luke stated plainly. Eyebrow arched. I pressed. And gained? After theatrical consideration. He answered. Financial acumen and computational skills. Yawning, I burrowed into bed covers. How tedious. Luke watched his omega. Dark amusement curling through him. The Vance curse traded innate traits. Never acquired skills. He'd never reveal Victor's actual blessing, that legendary sexual prowess driving every alpha wild with envy. Damn unfair cosmic joke. Unfair. I mocked. Reading his thoughts through damp lashes. Making me watch horror movies every midnight counts as fairness? Luke's breath caught. Staring down at his pouting mate. Forget curses, how did Sean keep hearing his private thoughts? Just one glance and, fuck, I nearly exploded. His precious is a walking aphrodisiac roaming the earth. With all those hungry coyotes circling outside. He's gotta double down. What kinda alpha slacks off? Time to wreck the bed. Go. Go. Go.